The Lord Christ Jesus is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall continue to follow me all the days of this protracted experience of death, and I will dwell in the house of the most super intelligent power, source, and force of love and creation forever. Boy, these roads are destroyed, leaving West Memphis, Arkansas. Rolled out to Petro, one of my favorite stops, although it's a bit of a shithole overall, I must say. But shithole describes much of my home state. Sometimes the shithole downtrodden areas of the U.S. are my favorite for whatever reason. Had a little interaction with a homeless fella there, local black, perhaps. I didn't ask him where he was from. Backpack and a cardboard sign. Not a lot of meat on his bones. None of my business what he's going to spend that 20 on, but oh, get your mind out of the gutter, EBT. That's almsgiving, sir. And I had 40 bucks in points, so got him. What did he? He got some nutrition, somewhat. A couple of little things of cereal and some milk, a little bottle of milk, and some kind of shirt, long sleeve shirt. He picked all that out, but it's funny sometimes he had just the kind of, the male bravado of the region, right? The hyper masculinity. But by the end of it, man, I don't know what he was on about, but you could tell he was going through something. Maybe that was the shame coming to the surface. Sometimes, and I don't, again, I was homeless for so long. You are homeless, Benton. All right. Thanks, JG. Appreciate the reminder, but homeless without really any money. And hell, so many people randomly hook me up. To me, it ain't nothing. It's like, well, I have it. Might as well hook some people up. And if I'm not careful, I'll end up in Los Angeles and looking at a Love's reward card with $50 in points on it, thinking, well, what am I going to do with this? It ain't really any good to me. So in a way, he's doing me a favor, if you think about it. And if individuals would like to engage in a little so-called Christian charity, well, then aren't they dependent on someone to receive said charity? Without someone to receive the alms, how can there be alms giving? But either way, probably should have slept. I probably could have slept a little longer, but old man Benton's gonna on schedule to get to the truck stop because we're only driving 4 hours and 45 minutes for the entirety of the trip. 7 a.m. Like, damn. Well, then there'll be parking spots though, and then start the slow process of gradually organizing and bit by bit shedding of items. Later on, man, have to find me a unused corner of the truck stop and just. I don't have a tarp right now, but maybe just figure out some way to take most of this bullshit out of the truck, and it's going to need some version of a deep cleaning at some point. Yes, sir. We moseying on. We're moseying on up out of this truck. The Royal we booked my Airbnb and 400 and I don't even remember what it was. $450 one way to LA Tuesday morning. God damn. Man, barrel of oil skyrocketed. I understand that, but come on now. This is just price gouging. Now, I could have paid about half the price, but I'm flying nonstop, man. I'm not trying to have I've done fucked with enough connecting flights in my time. I used to laugh because I've had connecting flights in Dallas Fort Worth so many times. It seemed like every time I had a connecting flight, I ended up physically running through the terminal to catch my flight. And then who knows what's going on with the TSA because they're not paying the TSA. So I would have flown. I'm flying on Tuesday. I don't want to give too many details. It's one thing I like about the so-called truth community. They don't seem to just randomly pop up. But in other niches, other small corners of the internet, content creators, if they give too much information, there's people who like to try to figure out the clues and deduce where they might be at a given time. But anyway, Tuesday, if I wasn't the type to get there super early just in case it's a 3-hour wait through security, I'd fly out on Monday. But I ain't no reason to get myself in a big fat hurry unnecessarily. And I ain't sweating the money either, but sometimes old Benton definitely would say, fuck that, I'm not paying that much. And just go ahead and deal with the connecting flight. In fact, I think it was, if I would let, them choose if I was flexible on the flight, they would give me a departure between 6 a.m. and 2 p.m. with between 0 and 1 stops, but it's going to end up being 1 and no longer, no more than a 3-hour layover. So, it's 3-hour layover, probably what you're looking at, but it's like $211, I think, something like that. They were begging people to fly when I first started looking at airfare. Like, please, $88 one way. We're getting 150 nonstop. And then it's like I'm picking the airport based on what's the likelihood that the TSA is going to show up. They're already talking about having to potentially close some of these smaller airports, because if they only have 10 security personnel total on a shift and then only 6 of them show up, it's like at that point, they'd probably just close the fucking airport. It's what I'm reading in the news. I don't know if that's true or not. And then how is there supposedly a war of aggression in the Middle East, right? And, this idea of terrorism, and then they're not even paying. And again, the realm has a sense of humor. The government's not even giving paychecks at this time to the people who are, the people of America apparently employ to ensure our safety, our collective safety at the airports. I mean, what else do you need to know about America in 2026? And hey, further proof, there's no end to what the American people will tolerate. Just they'll go along with anything, no matter what it is. Amazing, as Jesse Lee Peterson would say. It's funny. Part of me would rather hang out in a place like Memphis, but I'm going to LA, man. I need to be able to walk around, not have to try to take an Uber, you know, maybe ride the bus here and there, probably not, and be able to walk to the grocery store and, wherever I need to go, man. It's just not down south. The cities just ain't really set up for that. Boy, they are riding old Benton to the promised land this morning already. Come on now. Y'all need to find your own way. I don't get it. Well, they got Wisconsin plates. They're drunk. So we know that. And then I don't know what happened, man, but I started looking at all these Airbnbs, and all of a sudden they want to charge me a bunch of taxes. I said, what the fuck? I didn't pay no taxes on the first one I booked. And, I've never used Airbnb. And then I finally realized that I booked a month, but I got the checkout on the last day of the month, which I guess kind of makes sense in one way, because, historically, if you have an apartment or whatever, you don't move out on the first, you move out on the last day of the month. Right. And then you move into your other place on the first, typically. So then I went to another part of Airbnb, and, as long as I booked starting on the 30th, check in, and did 30 days, then it did not want to charge me the sales tax. So I don't know what's going on. I found a whole apartment for, and I mean like where you don't, there's just, it's all completely, kitchen, bathroom, an apartment. Fuck. For like, well, it was going to be 2,500 when they thought they were charging me all the taxes. But I think now that I figured out how to book it without the taxes, like $2,100. If it sounds like a lot, get with the times. That is not a lot of, that's not a lot of money. It's just not. Now it's potentially maybe difficult to get that much money. Like, what's a person have to do, right? Fly to the other side of the country and stay in somebody else's property. I mean, what would I expect to pay? And I realize now that I could have planned all this a little better. I needed to book everything like a month ago, 6 weeks ago, because the airfare was cheaper and the baseball season inflates the prices in that area of LA. So that's I see that kicking in because there's a bunch of places I've just been looking at over time, and the price keeps going up. It's like, all right, demand is entering the market here. Because there was one I was looking at. It was when I was looking at it, I could book 3 months, like I think June, July, and August, for like a total of $4,500, and now that same one is like a little over 2,000 for the same month. It's like, yeah, baseball fans. And they say, well, don't they know that about the season ahead of time? Yeah, but it's LA, and a lot of the people that are going to travel in to watch the Dodgers, the teams needs to be good, right? Because remember, they've won a couple of World Series recently. And it's funny how that affects the local area. You could tell during the World Series, a lot of the top graffiti artists descended on the area. I've got some really good pictures I took last winter, whenever the fucking World Series is. Those guys get in and get out, man. I was up walking the streets real early, and I'd see people doing graffiti here and there, but I never saw any. There's certain spots where the top artists would hit. All right, some of them don't even want to be known as artists, but whatever you want to call them, bombers. I don't know. And it's funny too with the job. It's like the realm is taunting me. Like, I threw my little hissy fit the other day, which really wasn't even that. It was just self-preservation, really. But so everything's well, and still got it spiritually attacked on some level, getting sent to that Jack's Links protein snacks and treated like subhuman piece of garbage and all of that. But even that worked out in my favor in the end. And now the company's claiming to want to just have me run from Memphis to Illinois and back. But, I'm looking at the miles, and it's like I just don't believe that they're going to have me doing. They're talking about maybe doing 3 of these runs a week, but it's like that's like 2,100 miles in 7 days. Like I just don't. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't. I just don't believe that I would get paid $1,800 for driving 2,100. But I'm not saying it's not possible, and it's it's almost never happened ever. But maybe like, well, I don't think it has happened. Maybe last week. I bet I still got 2,500 miles last week. So I don't know. I'm skeptical. But this is the first time I've managed to get on one of these easy runs. And another thing, there's like nothing in between. You just, hardly any truck stops. There's nowhere that's appealing to stop in between. I don't know, man. There's a lot of curious things that happen in trucking. And man, this place they sent me to pick up yesterday. Now, some of this is because it was Friday and everybody's trying to get in there and get loaded for the weekend, but it was a fucking madhouse, but it was like organized chaos. And, this is something to be said about these. And I've talked about this on here before, these like Memphis area. There's certain areas of Memphis where I've noticed you can tell, and I'm starting to see more of the design of these facilities. It's designed with the knowledge that it's going to crumble at some point. So there's a lot of these old crumbling warehouses, and there's enough of them in one area that now they've been abandoned, but not completely fallen into disrepair. Just haven't been used for a couple of years, maybe. The roads are all gigantic potholes, and there's not much going on. So it's like this is one warehouse that's operating, and like there's maybe another. It's scattered, right? There used to be like 15 of them in that one area, probably, and now it's maybe 5 of them. But it's not the old stuff that's hanging on. Now it's whoever's come into the area may be attracted by the low prices. And then you get, some up and comer gets some angel investor money, right? And the next thing you know, they're running fucking solar panels out of a dilapidated warehouse in Memphis, Tennessee that's got, pretty good interstate access. If you can find truckers and trucks that'll deal with the potholes, right? And then I wonder how much of this is getting some of the foreigners out of the game, because some of these people who are going to go into, if it is some sort of angel investor money or whatever, you got the potholes are so big, you're going to have some person that doesn't speak English trying to come in there, and then between them destroying the already old and wore out tractor, just driving at top speed through a bunch of potholes, making them bigger, right? And then backing into the side of the building at times, and I went in there, and they're telling me where to drive around the building and where to park to wait in line and all. It's like a choreographed dance, right? Well, you can't, if half the drivers coming in there don't understand the instructions, you can't organize that. You can tell whoever is running this operation, they're taking full advantage of just, there's nothing happening on all these side streets, It's like, okay, we'll just use all that to our advantage, and there's no telling how dirt cheap they got the rent. bringing in containers of solar panels from China or wherever, and then, hiring spending the money to hire some good workers. And that's the thing about a place like Memphis and, where I'm from in the area. If you can find and attract and keep the type of people who show up every day and work, you got some good workers for a discount. The place that unloaded me in Memphis, and this is where a lot of the white people and black folks too, but people that didn't grow up with black folks. I grew up with a lot of black folks, and when I go to a facility, when somebody's 28 years old and he's dressed like what some people might think is a thug and whatever, it's like that's just normal to me. And it's like, do you think I'm somehow in favor of somebody who dresses more like I expect and looks like I expect, but they're a piece of shit that doesn't do their job? Like, versus, somebody who has a certain style and they're, black as their skin's black as coal, but they're polite and friendly. And it's like, yeah, they mumble a little bit. Yeah, so do I. Who cares? What's the fucking difference? Every question I had was answered promptly and respectfully, and I did my job as good as as well as I was able to facilitate whatever they're doing. Why would anybody care, right? And, everybody I encountered was doing their job. You're not going to find, what's that going to cost you in Los Angeles? Fucking $35 an hour. What are you going to get it in Memphis for? No more than 18. And nobody's going to be complaining. Yeah, they'd like to make more money, but they own it's a family home, that's been in their family for 3 generations or whatever. They're either got a car payment or they're driving around in a hoopty. Yeah, gas is going up, but $3.50 is affordable for a gallon of gas. And it's a poor quality of life in a lot of ways. That's what they're used to. And I don't mean blacks. I mean the people from these parts of the country. So you kind of see the system knows what it's doing. It knows what it's doing. It's all part of Moloch's plan. They like to say God's plan. I say this world, you crazy. This world is the lack of God's plan. Whatever, air quotes, so-called God. My bad. And I'm figuring out about trucking. I only really want to work the winters. I already got bugs all over my windshield. And then, I like the winter. If I want to roll the fucking window down, I don't have to worry about what level of insects are immediately going to invade the truck. Or, God forbid I forget to shut the door for more than 10 seconds. And, it's already hot depending on where you go at what time of the day and everything. If I was running out to Phoenix or whatever, it's already 106. Or, California, it's already fucking hot. You say, well, yeah, what do you care, Benton? You're tough. Oh, I had a fucking heat stroke. My mid-30s, that's why. Once a person has a heat stroke, It's like, yeah, I can still tolerate the heat, but not like I used. I used to just be able to just bebop around and it didn't affect me at all. It's like, well, now it does. Although I've never been able to sleep in the heat. Everything always works out, as they say, as Benton says. I was looking at some Airbnbs in San Francisco, and it's funny, man. There's some pretty attractive rooms for rent, and yeah, the price is a little higher. But reading those reviews, it's like half of them is it's crazy people that somehow have, for whatever reason, that have large spaces in the bay, and now they're sharing their home or whatever, whether they live in that actual home or not. It's like I'm reading these reviews. It's like, well, this is crazy people running an Airbnb. It's like, yeah, I'd go stay in one of these places based on these complaints, but it's just I'm just laughing at it. It's like, yeah, these are like, who do you think owns it? And I didn't really think about it until I started reading the reviews. Like, yeah, it's all a bunch of crazy people. When I was traveling around living out of the backpack, I found out there was a house in Berkeley where some guy from Berkeley just owned the house, probably was in his family and maybe went to, Cal Berkeley back in the day. And he just was schizophrenic as fuck. And, he was just on the streets. So it more or less just became an open house, like a crash pad open house, right? These things happen. And then, so, what if that person is like that same level of crazy person, but they're just stabilized enough to, manage to operate an Airbnb? Well, there you go. I know how to, and some of them, like one of these was like one of those multi-floor, like 20, one of them I found was like 24 bedrooms and but like only 7.5 bathrooms, so it's just in there with whatever random weirdos they rented to, and yeah, I'll be just fine. I know how to communicate to people to leave me the fuck alone, and I don't care what they do. Just leave me the fuck alone. By the way, we're clear, right? Leave me the fuck alone and do whatever you want. If other people rent this place and don't know how to tell you to leave them alone, that's not my problem. But how to say all that without saying it, I don't care. Why would I care what they're doing? It's like, oh, the kitchen's not clean. Yeah, well, it's probably never going to be cleaned unless you clean it. It's like, yeah, I might clean the kitchen every once in a while, or I'll just won't use the fucking kitchen. I don't know. Oh, the bathroom is disgusting. Yeah, well, that happens sometimes. I don't know what to tell you. Disgusting humans are using it. I mean, how would it not be disgusting? This is it Ally McBeal? I like a fresh bowl. Or did you not click your fucking remote control? You know what I'm saying? I mean, for real. Like, hire a fucking cleaning service. Send them in there. But first, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'll just deal with it. I don't prefer it, but it's like, hey, man, I'm not going to live my life based on the cleanliness of a bathroom. That's crazy. I mean, that is a form of craziness. That's called too orderly, and then you get too chaotic, right? But yeah, that's too orderly. It's creepy. It's fucking creepy. Anyway, I'm feeling too strongly about that, so we'll just chalk that up to the healing. Stomp around and snort at them, Benton. The only real, the main uncertainty at this point is, well, where are they going to want me to park this truck? Because they don't know that this is about to happen. And I'm a contractor. I mean, if you really think about it, it's not my fucking job. I mean, I'm going to do my best not to say, well, that's not my problem. But when they're like, what do you expect us to do? It's like, I don't know. It's not my problem. If you leave it up to me, I'm going to drop it off. I know where I'm going to drop it off, and um, it'll be reasonably secured and, clean enough that you can go send a driver to fetch it. And that's the big thing in trucking is, as much as possible, the industry makes everything the driver's problem. I don't know what to tell you. That ain't my problem. Osceola, Arkansas, another one of them areas known for its violent crime. And a lot of times that's where the good football players come from. Not always. Of course, the white boys is always the craziest. Makes me think of that Mark Pierce back in the 90s, late 90s. Arkansas had this fullback, cock strong white boys, Mark Pierce, Arkansas boy. And he was a real damn good fullback, but they couldn't do nothing with him because he kept beating everybody up all around town in Fayetteville. And I think they finally had to just ship him out. Say, all right, man, you're done. You just got, and that was really all they asked. Hey, you just got to stop beating everybody up. And I don't know if he ever promised not to beat everybody up, but he couldn't stop beating everybody up. Like, all right, man. Do you really have to? I guess you just have to beat everybody up. Yeah, that's more or less what kept my uncles from going to Ole Miss and probably playing basketball in the NBA. Is for some reason, they had to do a version of beating everybody up at times. This is crazy. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Or those people? My people. Oh, fuck. Damn it. Spilled egg drink all over myself. I guess I don't know how to operate this container. It's got a button with a flip lid thing with a spring loaded hinge. Oh, well. We had another crazy white boy got drafted by the Raiders. I can't remember. I don't remember his name or what position he played. This again is late '90s, and it was like it was either right before or right after the draft. He got caught in Fayetteville with like a trunk full of pounds. He had like bricks of weed in his trunk and a bunch of cash. Like, all right, man. Well, um, no NFL for you, sir. Kiss that goodbye. Because, like it or not, they'll accept the blacks involved in some of that foolishness with the drugs. White boys are not cannot get away with any sort of drug involvement. That's that Matt Jones, the fucking mythical white boy quarterback, you know, crazy athleticism and crazy size, and gets arrested snorting cocaine in Fayetteville, and then gets put in the NFL drug program, and then has a couple of beers on the golf course. They show up to test him. He, blows for the alcohol, and he's out of the league. And it's not racism, but if he was black, if he was black and had that athleticism, it had to be both. He'd have to be one of the best athletes and black. He wouldn't have. There's no way they would have kicked him out of the league for that. He would have gotten at least one more chance. And people still try to make fun of him in the YouTube comments. I'm like, what are you talking about? Tons of NFL players got in trouble for drugs. Like, what are you talking about? This is not that uncommon. Like the fucking Michael Irving and a lot of those Cowboys were known for it in the '90s. Like that was their reputation was that. Like, what are you talking about? Hmm. Because the Arkansas white boy will do what you want him to do most of the time, but some of the time they're going to do whatever the fuck they're going to do, and fuck you. That's just what it is. Whether that's beat everybody up or, drink a couple of beers while they're already in the substance abuse program or whatever in the NFL. My favorite Matt Jones moment of all time was when he was about to go to the NFL Combine, and they kept hassling him about his 40 time, and he was projected to run a 4.65. Now this is racism. He was projected to run. They were like, the projections are you're going to run a 4.65, and Matt's known as like a man of few words and kind of a humble dude in a lot of ways. Just very like nothing really bothers him or gets to him, and he just kind of like gave him a look. He's like, I'm going to run a 4.4, like, and he's just kind of like, what's wrong with you people? Like, this is crazy. And of course, his best run went like a 4.36, his best run, which is fucking flying. And then, and I know people don't like when I talk sports, but that's okay. I'm going to talk it every once in a while. And then recently, I was just every once in a while, I click one of these videos, and apparently some black dude tight end ran a 4.37 at the combine or whatever. And they were commenting on how that had never happened because the guy weighed 240 pounds. I'm like, what are you talking about? Matt Jones, we had a white guy run 4.36, 242 pounds, 6'6", 242. Like, what are you talking about? And I know it's been done before, but that's how people think now. It's like whatever's happening now, it has to be the latest and the greatest, and it's unprecedented. Like, oh my God, 245 pounders are running 4.3s. It's like, yeah, just like they were 20 years ago. I don't know what to tell you. It's not common, sure, but white SEC quarterback of that size ran a 4.3. What are you talking about? And then, it's funny because they want to talk about Matt Jones and drinking the beers on the golf course and snorting cocaine. Apparently, Aaron Hernandez used to masturbate openly in the Patriots team meetings. I mean, imagine that. And, then we know if y'all know who that is, the murderer who ended up taking himself out in jail. But that's an interesting story. But, that Rob Gronkowski, they try to say he might be the best tight end of all time. Well, him and Aaron Hernandez both played the same position, and Hernandez was better than Gronkowski. And Gronkowski's kind of known for his toughness and his physicality. And I'm pretty sure Hernandez could have body slammed Gronkowski. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's just some people, it's like, why is this guy, why is he choking the chicken in the team meeting? It's like, well, because you got a room of so-called alpha males, big, tough, strong, muscled up NFL players, and we can't do nothing with him. He'll just beat everybody up, I guess, on some level. I don't know. You tell him to knock it off. Right? I mean, what are you going to do? What's the coach going to do? Coach is just thinking, man, I got two of the best tight ends maybe ever on my team. If one of them wants to do this, I guess that's okay. And then this shows you how, these guys are all clearly fucking MK Ultra'd or something, because every time they talk about these guys like Hernandez or Lawrence Taylor, it's like these, they're barely keeping it together, and they just kind of do whatever they want. But then they all have all the plays memorized. Every single one of these guys, they have the playbook memorized. They know exactly they don't just know what they're supposed to do. They know what every player on the field is supposed to do in any given situation. It's like, well, how is that fucking possible? I saw a video about Lawrence Taylor, who's probably the best defensive football player of all time. And he said when he was like a rookie, he just, the coaches want him to do whatever the play is, because on defense, they still have some, they call some actual plays. And Lawrence Taylor just did whatever the fuck he wanted. And the coaches were trying to come down on him and called him in. The Bill Parcells was the head coach and known for, really keeping everybody in line and, kind of a man's man type of dude, and whatever that means. And so Lawrence goes into the meeting and he's basically like, look, man, you pretty much just got to let me do whatever I want. And they're having the meeting, and Bill's basically like, well, I've got all these other plans, and how can I, how can we scheme if how can you do these things? Basically, the moral of the story, and I'm kind of butchering the story, was that Lawrence Taylor just sort of waited until Bill Parcells implied a lack of intelligence. And then Lawrence Taylor proceeded to explain what every single defensive player's role was in the defense to a T based on all possible situations. So he said, Coach, I already know exactly what the fuck everybody's going to do before they do it. So you're just going to, more or less, you're going to have to trust me that I know what the hell's going on at all times. So I don't know what to tell you. Basically, leave me the fuck alone. And remember, this is a guy who early in his career at times would rush the passer, not get there to be able to tackle the quarterback, force the quarterback into a bad throw, and then turn and run the other way and intercept the fucking pass. Like, there's very few human beings that could ever do that. I mean, that's just fucking insane. When a guy can do that, I mean, you're just gonna let it. He gets to do whatever he wants. Nobody can. If he wants to be known for going out and partying the night before the game and like, you know, literally standing on the bar chugging a fucking pitcher of beer, right? That's just what's gonna happen. Showing up still drunk to the game, snorting cocaine at halftime, you know, whatever he's doing. That's just what it is, man. You go tell him to knock it off. Last guy that tried it, he picked him up over his head. And he's, by the way, he's as smarter than all the coaches when it comes to football. So we can't do nothing with him. He could probably coach if he had to. Wouldn't want to. It's kind of a shame about trucking, and you know, maybe this company will figure this out. But you know, and I'm not putting myself up with any of those guys. I'm just saying that's kind of how my brain works in a way. It's like, you know, yeah, I'm just going to sort of intuitively go do my own thing at times, but it, it fascinatingly, it almost always seems, well, it does. It always works out. But I may not know why I'm doing what I'm doing, but and part of that is just avoiding a bunch of nonsense, right? Because, you know, if I look at the fact that we only um, fuel at Love's truck stops, and then if I try to go in the daytime, it's damn near impossible because it takes fucking 45 minutes. Well, if I almost never waste 45 minutes getting fuel, then, you know, that's increased productivity to the company. But then part of that is I got to be self motivated enough to drag my ass out of the rack to be getting fuel at 2 a.m., you know, because it starts getting busy about 5 a.m. It's a short window. And then, you know, at midnight, it's everybody that couldn't find a parking spot clogging up the fuel lines, you know, trying to get a nap in or whatever, clogging up the fuel lanes. So it's really, you got to hit it about 2 a.m., between like 2 and 4. There's your window. And then if I manage to park somewhere close enough to a Love's, well, I'll fuel while I'm doing my pre-trip. And then as much as I'm able to, I won't ever have to take a 30-minute break because that'll get factored into other, you know, if I'm working 7 days a week, if I can run my schedule properly, I won't have to drive beyond 8 hours that often. So it's a lot of time savings right there. That's all benefits to the company. I just like naturally do all that stuff, whether they notice or not. And they'll try to talk me out of it. But anyway, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if they'll want to bring me back or not. Because I'm almost certain I'm not going to be looking for any other trucking jobs. Although I do wonder with what's going on in California with these foreign drivers and so many of them losing their CDLs. Because historically, it's damn near from what I've seen, it's damn near impossible to get any version of a local job in California without a California driver's license. But that might start to change. So I wouldn't mind doing some version of local truck driving potentially if they'll accept me with my Arkansas ID, my Arkansas CDL. You see, some of these Walmarts got the height restriction things to keep the trucks from driving into certain parts of the parking lot. When I see those, I usually just don't even go there unless I can find somewhere to reasonably park. It's like, yeah, they clearly don't want trucks at this Walmart. I just passed one of those. Oh, man. Well, I'm losing them. We had about 5. We got up to 6 people. Now we're down to 2. I'm losing them. That's all right. Appreciate y'all keeping me company at least, I guess. It's be an interesting trip. The extrication process is just beginning. And, again, the spirit of what I am is so strong. I have to sort of remind myself of, because in the bad times with trucking, when I'm so convinced to just park this bitch where it's at and just book a flight and get the fuck out of here. It almost happened in Minneapolis. I got pretty fucking close to just saying, fuck it, I guess I'll pay $90 to Uber to the airport. Good Lord. But then the flight was, and what the hell am I going to pay to get to the airport for this flight? Who knows? But we'll see. I've still got the fuck me money for now, but that ain't going to last forever. What does, by the way, what does last forever? Well, it would have to be something that exists beyond time, space, location, place, and in the final analysis is not involved in this delusion of now it's here, now it's gone, of the present moment. That ain't the thing. It was funny though, going to this place to get unloaded in Memphis, and the local guy, security guards looking at me kind of funny. And then I was like, oh yes, I've just returned from the north, and I'm speaking so strangely because if I just talk, I'm from around here, and if I just talk normal, they don't know what the fuck I'm saying, which is just really, they're not going to put their brains into, they're not going to apply their brain power to decoding my manner of speech. So give me a moment while I return to my more normal way of speaking. And they think it's strange up north too. It's just, I just tell them, I'm like, listen, I understand you're looking at me like I must be some sort of lunatic, but, and I don't say it exactly that way, but that's the message. But it's like, hey man, I'm from the South, and when I just talk normal, y'all don't know what the fuck I'm saying. So, just bear with me, right? Because we're 60 miles from Canada. And Ain't used to this because they're more, they're more Canadian sounding than American sounding up there, whatever that means, from my perspective, anyway. That's that billboard was advertising for a local truck stop. It said, I should have said it while I could still see the sign. It was like diesel, fireworks, lottery, and I forget what something else. What was it though? I forget. I was just like, God bless America. What's more American than diesel fuel fire? Your one stop shop for diesel fuel fireworks, lottery, and I forget the other one. What would that have been? I don't know, showers maybe. Can't recall. World's largest crappie store. The Grizzly Jig. GrizzlyJig.com. Exit 19. Right 5 miles. I did a fair bit of crappie fishing as a lad. Me and my pops. I wasn't really into it, but that's what he wanted to do, so it's fine by me. I think he'd had a little more. I think he'd enjoyed it more if he went by himself, though. Hard to say. Good old pops. There was a sign for Cooter. Is that Cooter, Arkansas? I don't know. I guess there's a Cooter, Arkansas. Should be getting close to Missouri. Where's the state line? We might already be there. Exit 4. Right? Yeah, we must be in Missouri. Just crossed over. or as many of the locals pronounce it, misery. So maybe that's Cooter, Missouri. I don't know. Makes me think of Petticoat Junction for some reason. Oh man! All right, we're gonna put up the non-tent banner. Probably should have went up much earlier. Well, it's interesting having a brief chat with Landry yesterday from Modern Men Lost Again channel. And apparently his best gal, Mindful Exposures, who's in the chat around here from time to time. And I think that's the first time I've ever heard her voice. I guess she's on panels here and there. I don't recall ever hearing her voice. So she was on as well, but I had no idea that they were um, seeing one another. Is that the proper term? Apparently, sharing space in Dallas. I don't know. I have no fucking idea what people are doing. But part of what I realized during that is I'm getting to where I just don't want to talk to anybody. It's for the most part, yeah, random strangers. It's like, oh, I'll talk to this guy for 5 minutes at the truck stop while I'm helping him out. Or I had a brief conversation with another trucker yesterday because I heard him banging around next to my truck, and I don't give a fuck if people make noise. I just want to know because I'm about to go to bed. Like, how long is this going to go on? Because I might move my truck, but I don't really want to. But we got a pretty good spot here, so chatted with him for a few minutes. Keep it moving. I'm a good listener, I guess, and I guess I really do mean that. I don't want to talk to anybody really, which is kind of a bit of a paradox because but I'm more. I guess I'm talking at the internet when I do these live streams. I don't know. Is that what you would call it? I think I see what my dad means, though. My father, last time I talked to him on the phone, he expressed some. I think maybe he's got his own version of the same thing. What I got out of it is that he pretty much just doesn't want to talk to me on the phone, but I think it's probably more of a just he probably doesn't want to talk to anybody on the phone or speak with anyone. I don't know. I can't call it, as they say. And my father also seems somewhat easily confused, and I see that in myself with some of the social dynamics. It was just I found the whole thing fairly confusing because I just didn't know what the fuck was going on. And I hear a female voice, and it's like it's for all I know, he's live on his own channel, and just sort of hooked me up to the thing. Like I don't know what the fuck's going on. And it's like, well, I hear a female voice, and there's many female. And I also remember he had said something about there's a lady from the panel verse, Cynthia, was going to be. They were going to collaborate on some content or something. So for all I knew, this was when that was happening, and maybe that was her. I don't fucking know. I just don't know. I think it's hard for a younger person sometimes to realize, like, yeah, the older folks may not actually know what the fuck is happening. And I guess, like with my own father, it's like maybe I could remind myself at times. Guy doesn't really even know what the fuck's going on, not like I do. And then, somebody who's 30 or 28 or whatever, that, they might think, well, he seems with it. It's like, yeah, not really, kind of in my own way. Overall, nah, not really that with it. And then one of these channels I follow some guy from Mississippi, this black welder. I guess he's about my age, and he's still eating all that stereotypical crap food, and it's not just in. You could tell he's got some muscle on him and stuff. But definitely, technically, he got to be obese and got the man boobs, looking kind of sloppy, and on his videos he'll be eating bad food sometimes, but he was talking about did a short video about, and I didn't even watch the video, something about men paying attention to their testosterone levels. And it's funny because I started doing that in my 30s. I researched nutrition and fitness and supplements, and I knew that it ran in my family, healthy amounts of testosterone. So when I started hitting the weights and wanting to put on some mass, I knew that was one of the biggest things in my favor. And makes it easier to put on weight and size, and easier to burn fat and get lean when necessary. And I never was into the bodybuilding. I just wanted to get big, but just looking back on it, kind of a silly thing. Although that muscle memory is a thing. Like I haven't done any working out, and some of my muscles have come back as I put on some weight, but nothing crazy. It's like, I don't know, man. Do we really want a bunch of, because in the comments, of course, now you've got people talking about going on, certain milligrams of testosterone every week. And now, they get their testosterone checked. Like the one guy, I don't know if he said his age or not, but he said he's on, however many milligrams, and then a week. And then his levels are up to like 11, right at 1100. And again, that's what mine were naturally when I was 38. And it's like, and he was saying that his was like 260, but then, now, so he was describing he felt lethargic and all these things. It's like, If a guy genetically is set up to make a decent amount of testosterone, there's no reason to not do that with diet, as far as I'm concerned, and a halfway decent sleep schedule. It's like, I mean, to me, that's crazy. 260, what? But then, do we really want a bunch of 50-year-old men running around all jacked up on testosterone? I mean, I don't think so. It don't seem like a good idea. Well, what? Why? And you know it's bad when the guys from Mississippi's black as night, and he's talking about watch out for your testosterone. Man, 2 generations ago, do you think a 50-year-old black man was concerned about his fucking hormone levels? This is crazy. Now, maybe some of the white guys, and probably not the white guys either, but it definitely doesn't make any sense for the blacks. I mean, it's like, what is this? It's all those, it's all the vegetable oils, man. It's all them bad fats. Them bad fats are doing a number. Gibson, that's his name. And bad fats is doing a number on old Gibson. He don't even know it. And bad fats will sneak up on you if you ain't careful. I say, what do you mean? Which ones? Well, I'll tell you what. If you go to the store and you're eating something that's in a package, if it's got any amount of fat in it above 0 grams, you're almost 100% of the time it's got bad fats in it. Even if it's a fucking bag of nuts, unless they're roasted. Oh, look, a bag of peanuts. That's good for us, right? Yeah, I don't know. What oil did they fry it in? Oh, cottonseed oil. Well, no, that's not good for you. Nope. Or even peanut oil. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, peanuts fried in peanut oil, not the greatest option. I know it sounds insane, but why are we frying the fucking peanut? Why are we frying the nuts in oil in the first place? I'd like to know. Whose idea was that? Maybe the large corporations that sell peanut oil. I don't know. Call me crazy. But cottonseed oil. Or what other kind of oils? Not the only thing I'll fuck with is olive oil, and even then, you just gotta hope it's real olive oil. It's like, well, I don't know. Just hope for the best here. I love that birria. Does anybody know what birria tacos are? Which traditionally are fried in lard. And I would eat birria probably once a. And if I'm saying that right or wrong, I have no idea. But I'm certainly not going to try to say it with a Spanish accent, but um, or in a Spanish accent. But and I found if I try to ask the people at the restaurant or the food truck, either they don't know or they do know, and it's like, yeah, it's vegetable oil. It's like, the fuck, what the fuck, or they just don't know. Oh man. Reminds me when I used to eat all that Waffle House. I got on a big Waffle House kick where I was eating it every day. And sausage and eggs years ago now. And oh, and bacon. And was making decent money so I could afford it. But then I used to be in there sometimes and the cook would go get a new jug of oil out of the back and I'd just be looking at that oil like just the color of it. I just shook my head to that can't be good, man. It's gotta be very, very bad on some level. And then I was drinking heavy and going and getting that Blaze pizza, which is tasty, man, but I don't know what they're putting in that. But that was fucking me up. I could tell. Whatever oils they put in that stuff is not, that ain't the way to go either. Oh man. Reminds me of the first time I ever had that those birria tacos. I was in Michigan, southern Michigan in the summertime. Lovely place in my Nissan Versa. Nothing to do with truck driving. And was looking at where I could possibly. And remember, this was when I was, 120 pounds, fucking been through all these health woes, and I had to really kind of, I had to really look into something before I tried to just eat something. Food made me sick for a long ass time. So what I may eat versus what would fuck me all up. And I mean, fuck me up bad, like make me real fucked up, like incapacitated, fucked up. And so basically, I found a spot that had the birria tacos, and I'd never had them. And I got to researching what that is. And they're like, well, they're fried tacos, but they're traditionally with lard. I'm like, well, shit, if it's actually lard, then um, I can eat it. Now, I don't know if y'all know this about Michigan, but if you want to smoke just some fucking cannabis flower, it's the cheapest for a place where you can just go to a recreational store and just walk out with an ounce of cannabis flower. It's by far the cheapest place in the whole country, and there's no comparison. And they are blunt smokers in Michigan, Jack. I've never seen nothing like it, and I've smoked a lot of blunts, you know. And look, this is nothing to be proud of, but You know, it's not like every white boy will just bust a swisher on the seam and roll a fucking blunt at the drop of a hat. But you know, I'm one of them white boys, and fucking hey, dude. So I was baked to the gills. You know, potentially autistic, trying to order birria tacos from a man from wherever the fuck he's from in Mexico. And one thing about I've learned about Mexicans, a lot of them, man, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or what. They'll pretty much do whatever the gringo wants, man. They'll resent the gringo, which is fine. But it's like I would rather just. I'm from Arkansas. You got to tell me to fuck off, and then I'll just be like, oh, okay, I guess I better fuck off. Because all he's got to say is, hey, man, we're not open right now. Why don't you fuck off and come back later? All right. See you in a couple of hours. But, I'm snooping around trying. And it's ambiguous. I can't tell is the fucking thing open or not. So next thing I know, I'm ordering tacos, and I'm kind of getting the feeling that they really weren't open. And now he's just in there cooking me fucking tacos. And it's like, all right, well, whatever. I'm baked to the gills and potentially autistic. What do you want? Google Maps sent me, sir. I don't know. I mean, do you need me to try to say that in Spanish? I mean, look, what are we even doing here at some level? I have money. Do you want the money? I don't know what to say. Take the money. I'll pay extra. Gringo fee. I don't care. Give me the birria. And it was so much some of the tastiest food I've ever had in my entire life. And no, it's not because I was also high, although that didn't hurt. That at a certain point, I'm looking at the taco and I'm like, well, that's not hair from his head. And the chances of that getting there without him intentionally placing it there are pretty low. But this is so fucking good, I'm going to eat it anyway. And I feel like maybe he knows that. I don't know. Don't know, don't care. Fuck. And that's like that when they talk about the first time somebody takes a certain drug that becomes their drug of choice, it was like that'll never be replicated, whatever that was. And yeah, I've had birria tacos a few times since then, but in a way, he fucking ruined them for me forever. Not with the hair, but with the it's like it was too good, unmatched. I'd probably have to go to whatever town he's from in Mexico to have that experience again. I think I tried to go back later and couldn't even fucking find the place. Maybe the trailer just goes place to place. I don't fucking know. Although somehow I found it on Google Maps. So who knows? What, am I going to go back and complain to the guy about the hair? He'll just be like, okay, well, I guess you won't be eating here anymore then. It's like, well, wait a minute. You cut me off from the tacos. And then something else that happened in Michigan. We used to drive around Hot Springs, Arkansas and get all smoked out in the car, and other places too. But past a certain age, it was just like, man, I'm not driving around with my car smelling like weed. This is just crazy. Like, I'm not the dude I'm not the dude. I'm not Jeffrey Lebowski, for fuck's sakes. Like, what is this? And, found a little spot where and remember that you may not, well, I can't say remember, but, I was procrastinating. My car needed a new battery, but it's a manual, so I could always pop start it. So I was only parking on hills so I could get a rolling start. So I found a spot with a hill and a little patch of woods, and I was showing up there several times a day and getting blunted in the little patch of woods. But across the way there was a restaurant And every once in a while, I'd see one of the gals that worked at the restaurant kind of mean mugging me out the back door. They didn't like the cut of my jib. Yeah, and there ain't no telling what level of illegal activity they're up to. Because I do trigger the the cops are watching us alarm bell. Just like, well, I can't do anything about the fact that people think I'm the cops. And number two, your phone is the cop. Like, what are you talking about? They're sitting there mean mugging me, scrolling on their phone, smoking a cigarette. It's like the cop is in your hand, lady. It's not across the street smoking fucking blunts. And and then one time I climbed up out of the little patch of woods across the street, and I guess it was the white guy that owned the restaurant was out there like taking down my license plate and calling the cops and shit and trying to talk to me. And again, I'm baked to the gills. I just walk over there and just kind of looked at him and jumped in my car, coasted down the hill, fucking dropped the clutch, got the fuck out of Dodge, pulled up the Google Maps and figured a route. If the cops were actually going to respond, I was like, well, let's get the fuck out of here before the cops can find me. And weed does make you lazy because I had a way better spot where just clearly nobody gave a fuck what I was doing. You could just tell, and it was a Walmart there, and I found a little hill like right outside of there's a little gym over there, like a smoke shop. But I had to walk. It was like almost a half a mile walk to the patch. By the time I walked to the woods and back, it was almost a mile. And it was raining a lot, as I recall. I just got sick of dealing with it. And remember, I was sleeping in my car, and I would sleep in my car over there quite a bit too. And I've gotten pretty good at I can determine if people give a fuck or don't give a fuck. And I could kind of tell that they really weren't digging. They weren't digging it at the place where they called the cops on me. I was just like doing it anyway. It's kind of funny though, looking back on it. Got to watch these women. These women will hem you up. The fellas know, but usually it's because they're up to no good. And it was fascinating because in that missing persons case, it was this woman about 50 in her early 50s, and she had a live-in boy. She was, I guess, living with her boyfriend. I don't know, maybe it was her house, but she had a boyfriend, but then he was in construction, so he was out of town. So this was in like near Monroe, Louisiana, but then he was working in Lake Charles, down the west of there, I guess. I think it's west on the interstate, a few hours. And so right before she went missing and got reported missing immediately, she, like the last time he talked to her, she had accused him of cheating, but with the neighbor. And apparently the neighbor, like it's basically a 0% chance, and they even they interviewed the neighbor, and when she heard about it, she was just like, that's when she understood that something was bad. Something was going on with this lady's mental health, the one that disappeared. She was like, that's so fucking far-fetched, So apparently she was this lady that disappeared was on all kind of meds for her mental illness. But then she had apparently had a history with drugs, but it was, I guess she was mostly known for cocaine and opiates, and she had been an IV drug user in the past. And then apparently somebody got her on meth recently. And she was getting shot up with meth, and she was one of these, some of them IV drug users, they won't shoot themselves up. And apparently, she had gotten involved with some man that she knew from her childhood, and I guess he was a meth cook. So it turned out that as she was disappearing, like the last contact she had with the world was her phone was in communication with people talking about she had been instructed to go pick up ingredients. Of course, the minute I heard that, I was like, oh, yeah, they're making meth, obviously. Because as the stories unfold, and they got a psychic involved where supposedly the psychic communicated with the dead woman and got more or less the exact location of the body, which is and again, I'm just not interested in stuff like that either on either side. It's like, yeah, sure, I'm sure stuff like that exists or whatever, but it doesn't matter to me either way. And I don't want to tell too much of the story; it'll take too long. But the key point I'm trying to make is right before her last conversation with her husband was he was accusing her of. She was basically like, "I know you're with that whore. You're not working. You say you're at work. You're with that whore." But meanwhile, what's she doing? She's going to visit. She's going to the house of this guy that she used to see and that she grew up with, and then he's cooking meth and shooting her up with meth. And so the same woman who's living that life is calling up her loving, doting boyfriend, talking to him like he's a piece of garbage. And so this is, and I never knew that it was like, I never understood logically in my conscious mind that this is how some women, look, this is how women are at times. Not all of them, sure, but it's just part of what they are. And it's part of what humans are, sadly. I'm sure males have their own versions of that. But I've never tolerated that sort of behavior. I just won't tolerate that behavior ever. I've never had that in my life. I would never put up with that. It was like, what are you talking about? It's like, bitch, if I want to go get some pussy, I'll go get some pussy. This ain't that. I don't know what to tell. I mean, that would basically be my reaction. Was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, yeah, if I'm gonna go get some pussy, I'm gonna get some pussy. But I mean, I'm in a relationship with you. Like, what are we even talking? Meanwhile, yeah, cheating, air quotes cheating, but that's kind of a different thing. But it's like, what are you talking about? If I want to see multiple women, I'll just find a girlfriend who doesn't mind if I have other girlfriends. I mean, like, what are you talking about? Like, if there are these kind of women out there, I'll just have two girlfriends. Meanwhile, sorrow is a woman. It's like, I'm not, you really think I'm trying to deal with two of y'all? Look at what I'm going through right now. Fuck. But so I wouldn't tolerate that for 2 seconds. But guys, we're kind of dumb that way. Unless somebody tells us, we don't really understand that. We just think, oh, for some reason she thinks we're cheating. It's like, no, she's feeling some type of way because that's what she's doing. She's getting shot up with meth and then getting used as a whore. Another man's using her like a whore. That's what's going on. And now she's calling her boyfriend, who just unconditionally loves her on some level, and she's giving him she's giving him an earful over stuff she's doing. Like, what? And here's the sad part. If he would have used her like a whore, she probably would have stuck by him a little stronger. That's what's real sad if you think about it. If he'd have just known to shoot her up with some meth and fucking use her like an inanimate object all weekend, then probably she'd have been a little more nice to him. That's what's sad, and that's what humanity is on some level. It's just what it is. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's it's fucked. It is fucked. And it's like, well, what if he's not into that? Well, he picked the wrong woman then. I don't know what to tell you. Apparently, that's in her wheelhouse somewhere. And I mean, I'm not going to excuse her behavior, but, apparently she was known for being very physically attractive in her youth. So it's like she's probably used to a level of attention from men that she's no longer getting. And it's like, here's somebody who's under the right circumstances, there's a certain level of what could be mistaken for intimacy, right? You know, where she could conceivably tell herself that men still want her the way they wanted her when she was 25, right? It's like, well, no, they don't. But, you know, and I'm not going to let the world force me into pretending like I find a woman my own age attractive. I don't ever look at a woman my age and think, boy, I'd like to get me a piece of that. It's just, I can't, I'd be faking it. It's not possible. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not, you want me to just lie? It's nothing against women. I like women. I will, I used to watch the Golden Girls in my 20s. Like, I've always found women very interesting, but I might hang out and have some conversations with a woman my age. Nothing is ever going to make me want to fold them up and have the fucking sexual Olympics with them. That's just never going to happen. By the way, I don't even think about that anyway. For the most part, I'm not even sure why I'm thinking about it now. But you know, and I don't even really have those thoughts. But the rare times I do, it's not somebody my own age. And remember, in the olden days, if it was still, if it wasn't for the political correctness and all of this stuff, yeah, I'd happily just stand there and give her whatever male attention she needs, up into including a smack on the ass, right? Like, that's not even allowed anymore. All right. Well, I don't know. Are we done here? And then what I find funny is they will try to guilt. A lot of times they'll try to act like the men are doing wrong. I can't be wrong for that, you know, because when a woman doesn't find, the fact is, to the majority of women, like 75% of males just simply don't exist when it comes to relationships or attraction. They just don't, they literally don't exist. And they say, well, it's not literal. What I mean is, when a woman when you hear them expressing themselves and complaining about men, she's only complaining about the 20% of all males that she finds attractive, maybe only 10%. She's not talking about the 90% that she's not. She's only talking about the ones that she finds attractive. And she's complaining because the ones that she can get to come to her apartment and give her the high hard one won't behave the way that she wants them to behave. But then males who actually give a fuck hear her talking that way on social media, and now they're like, what's wrong with these women? It's like, well, that's how women are, but meanwhile, she ain't talking about you, buddy. You don't exist in that world. But it's like, oh, maybe a woman would be angry at me. Oh, how dare you not find a woman your age attractive? It's like, well, look at what y'all do. You don't find 90% of males of any age attractive. How am I guilty for saying I'm just can't be attracted to a 50-year-old woman. Are you crazy? Like what? How am I in trouble for doing you? Meanwhile, women do their own version of what I'm doing, but they do it way worse, and they've been doing it their whole life to males. But I'm bad for just saying I don't find women my own age sexually attractive, and there's nothing wrong with that. And for some reason, my father only ever dates women his own age. Go find him. He's 70, so sorry, you're too young for him. But plenty of 50-year-old women would date my dad and have no problem. You know, they wouldn't give a fuck what anybody thought about an age gap. But somehow I'm bad and wrong for not wanting to bang a woman my own age. Why? For what? Number two, man, after me and her finally called it quits for good, but we were still in communication briefly, she was, I guess she got all pumped up because I guess she realized she could bang 25-year-olds, and she was trying to sort of. I guess she thought I'd be jealous because I'm not jealous, man, but she's very jealous. I'm not, and just never have been. Now, again, show me a human, I'll show you a hypocrite. It's not like I've never become jealous, but I mean, I'm just not wired for that, and some of that is actual arrogance. It's like, why would I be jealous? I'm fucking awesome. Why would I be jealous? That's crazy, but. Meanwhile, I'm competitive. If another guy outdoes me, that's just what happened. I mean, how am I going to be competitive and jealous simultaneously? That doesn't make any sense. But Michael Jordan couldn't beat the Celtics and the Pistons for damn near a decade. Do you think he was jealous of Larry Bird or fucking Isaiah Thomas? Oh, hell no. That's crazy. But either way, I said, and I saw what she was trying to do, and I just looked at her and said, yeah, but you're old. So I'm just looking at her like, how am I going to be impressed because a 25-year-old will stick his penis in you? Like, what? You're old, lady. Like, what are you talking about? And also, I've been listening to that, Frank McCourt, Tiz, and his first wife was apparently just this stunner, absolute drop dead gorgeous, blonde hair, blue eyed stunner, and just got in, just like so beautiful, people would stop what they were doing, and he met her in college, and he talked about, she was in his classes, and this is clearly probably the most beautiful woman on campus, and it's funny because she was seeing a football player or whatever, and Frank, when he was a young man, referred to himself as no sign of a shoulder. Right, it's not a physical specimen in any way, and slightly built and all of this, the scabby eyes and the fucking the Irish accent and all of this. But it's funny because they were on again, off again, and eventually Frank won out over the football player boyfriend, but who had her pinned, right? All this old timey fucking courtship rituals. She was pinned to Bob initially, and she was a virgin saving herself for marriage, but then she finally gave it up to Frank, who was respectful, and willing to wait. But here's what he did to get her is they were going to a cocktail dinner or whatever. And when they met up in the city, she castigated him and dressed him down because he showed up without a tie. And she's like, you got to go, what are you doing without a tie? And he's like, I don't want to wear a tie, bitch, basically. Like, leave me the fuck alone. And she's like, well, everybody's going to be wearing a tie, so she wanted to go buy him a tie. And he's like, I have a tie. Why would I buy another? Like, this is crazy. Why would I buy another tie? Of course, she was like more of a middle class broad, white lady. Protestant white, from America. Because remember, the Irish weren't always necessarily white in this country, lest we forget. But the Irish and the Italians. And so she just went and climbed into the cab and without regarding him and just assumed he was going to climb into the cab. And he just stood there and looked at the open door and he just fucking walked away and went back to his apartment. And that's what made her mind up to choose him to, get with sexually for the first. Although who knows if she was an actual virgin or not? I mean, I don't know. Do we have, are the sheets, or is the bloody sheets there to present to the family? I mean, I don't know, but even that, what are we talking about? But evidence of the hymen. Did we check her hymen? Right. But either way, signed, sealed, and delivered, partner. But that's just how women are. You just, the fact is, if I wasn't the type of guy to just look at her in that moment and say, yeah, but you're old, she wouldn't have never wanted me in the first place. And on some level, she was, for the bullshit town, in Arkansas where I found her, the fucking hottest woman her age in the whole town. I don't know what to tell you. So, she could have had any number of guys who would have just, never would have dreamed of talking to her that way. I was like, yeah, but you're old. So, I mean, I can't, this is not that great of an accomplishment. You're still old, bitch. Like, what do you want from me? Also, you think I can't go, clear? Obviously, I can go bang a 25-year-old. I mean, let's not even go there. And I used, what I used to tell her, and she thought it was hilarious because I would just tell her from time to time, I said, I'm the hot one in the relationship. I mean, let's make no mistake. It ain't you. I say, yeah, there's a hot one in this relationship. It is not you, lady. I don't know what to tell you. That's just what it is. And she knew I was right. It doesn't mean she's not hot. It's just, hey, there's only room for one hottie in this relationship, and it ain't you. So don't go getting too big for your britches. Meanwhile, there's an endless supply of fellas that will happily treat her like she's the most gorgeous woman that's ever walked the planet. And yeah, I very much let her know how attracted to her I was. There was no, even as I'm calling her old, it's obvious how attracted to her I was. That was never in doubt. Now, if I met her at 50, I don't know. It's going to come down to the shape of that pelvis. We're going to need to see that pelvis. No. Nope. Nope. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, she held her showgirl figure into her 40s, but I don't know if she's still got it at 50. Because at 40, she could have went out there with the chorus line. I don't know about 50. Now her face, a little too wrinkled for the chorus line, all that smoking, but the body, you could neck down. She could have been on that chorus line at age 40, but 50 probably not. Probably not. Dun, 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 dun. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. It's dead and buried. It ain't never coming back. You better meet you a Gen Z, not for sexual purposes. You better meet you a Gen Z and go watch some old movies with them. Because if you're my age, the women your age they're Gen X is forever young. They still think they're 20. Hell, I got to remind myself I'm 50 and I like being 50. And some of my activities are probably not age appropriate necessarily, but it's like, fuck, I'll just chalk it up to the autism, the tism, blame it on the tism. And then, like, I keep hearing, oh, I guess but aren't we all a little autistic? Said no autistic person ever. That's the same thing as saying nobody's autistic. If everybody has autism, nobody has autism. So no actual autistic person would ever utter that statement because it's so clearly illogical on its face. Um, and I think what we all saw on display when I was talking with Landry and I was pulling it off with my as awkward as my social skills, as kludgy as my social skills can be. I think by the time we got to the mindful exposures portion of the conversation, it's like the it's like, why is he being so literal and why is he doubling down on the formality and the literalism? It's because I'm gonna get fucking lost otherwise. This is my anchor to not just being adrift at sea. That's why I need literal. I need the literal and the formal. And by the way, women like formality from males a lot of the time. Now they don't necessarily want, and again, I'm not talking about what they say they want. I'm talking about what they respond to. A little fucking formality goes a long way. Of course, Gen Z is way too cool for any formality. Gen X is like, well, we still, especially being a Southerner, I had kind of had to perform it on some level, and then some of it's just probably in me genetically. It's a little bit of a Southern genteel type of thing, but my father's fairly formal as well. State your business. By the way, guess what functions? Guess what's way less dysfunctional when there's some measure of formality in society? Fucking shocking, right? It's like I can't, you know, it's just some random bozo dude. So if Landry just put some random dude on the horn, I don't necessarily have to be formal. It's like, yeah, I can't speak to a woman in an informal manner because where I come from, I gotta on some level account for the fact that her fella may come looking for me, right? And I'm not scared of him. I don't want to have to look over my shoulder forever. But also, where I'm from, kept the dudes from necessarily banging each other's wives, right? Do you really want to look over your shoulder all day, every day? Because you got a pretty good chance of getting knocked the fuck out, right? And I understand people like, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Well, I don't know, man. That's what I was taught and what was modeled to me, and you know, um, you know. So I can't really continue the conversation until I know what the hell's going on. And if I got some correct notion of what activities probably occurred right after that call abruptly ended, was I'm all for it. Have fun, kids, but maybe leave me out of your foreplay in the future if that's all right. I mean, that was kind of my perception. But Like that was my only real comment was, well, shit, he said he had some time, but if I was him, I just the last thing I'd be doing is talking to some old man on a live stream somewhere. With you got a lady in the house and it's a honeymoon phase still. Fuck, crazy. Me and ex-wife number one, 3 times a day, every day for the first year, partner. Shit, wasn't no time for calling in the internet shows. Shit. We were still pretending to go to college and working jobs. I don't think she ever had a job in college, though. Her Vietnamese daddy had her quite spoiled. Ex-wife number one. In the best possible way, of course. Which is kind of sad, man, looking back at my first marriage, because we really were a proper match, but unfortunately, somebody has to have some maturity in the relationship, and neither one of us were mature whatsoever. So the thing was doomed from the start. And she was attractive, but not nearly as attractive as the second one. But I think I'd still prefer the first one. But we fought like cats and dogs, and that was the lack of maturity. By the time I got around to the second one, it was like, okay, well, there can't be arguments if I just don't argue. Meanwhile, there also can't be the silent treatment. So, somebody's got to take charge of working out whatever needs to be worked out. And why did me and the first one fight like cats and dogs? So that's what our parents did. We just repeated what they did, what we saw them do. I doubt either one of us had a desire to argue. She needed to, when she was like 20, she needed to have found her. See, here's the thing for ladies, and this is really the crux of the Kevin Samuels is a 20-year-old woman absolutely can find her so-called person who's about 28 or 30, who's already established enough in his career where as long as they support one another and then she plays her position, right, he could presumably have the maturity and be making money, right? Because my thing was, even if we could have held it together, I was just never going to make enough money to satisfy her. She's very materialistic. And she would have tolerated it because she didn't mind working, and I don't think she really wanted to be a mother anyway. Didn't seem like she did. And I think she knew it. But her family was real nosy, and I don't think they were, would have certainly after we've been together a number of years, you could tell that they were in, it's basically like you need to coach this guy up into making some money. And once it was obvious that was never going to happen, it was like, all right, time to get rid of that dude and find another one. But this time, find one who's already got money or is making money. Right. Which is fair enough. And so a lot of the Kevin Samuels type stuff is basically like, hey, woman, you're not going to be able to get him when you're 28. And you're not going to be able to get him as a single mother. Now, when you're 28, as long as you're not a single mother, you can absolutely find an attractive man who's got money who's 50. But meanwhile, the women, they think they should be able to find a man who's not 50, because the 50-year-old's probably not going to give a fuck about knocking the bottom out every night. I know I wouldn't. It's like I just don't care. And these women think they seem to think they're entitled to sexual compatibility and you know, sexual fulfillment. It's like, yeah, you can have that, but how is she going to have that? And he makes a certain income, and he's like cultured and refined, and you know, knows how to travel and knows how to, you know, do certain activities, right? Well, that's not a given. That, you know, and I can, you know, I can do all of those things to some extent. And I, you know, I'm charming enough to sort of fill in the gaps when need be, just if not to just make fun of myself when I step on my dick or whatever. But you know, I'm a person who will just of his own volition by himself go to a fucking art museum. I mean, lest we forget. And I think I'll enjoy LA a little more than, you know, now I'll feel free to actually go do some things versus, you know, not wanting to go so far away from my car that I can't come back and check on it. Because they will steal your shit, and that's everywhere. But and it's like, yeah, they've got the little tiny home village in Echo Park. And the only reason I ever even, it's well hidden. It's hidden in plain sight. And the only reason I found out about it is because a meth head wanted me to move in so he could steal all my shit. Like, no, that's exactly what it was. First time I met the guy, he's falling all over himself to tell me how great this fucking tiny home village is. And I'm looking at him like, well, I know exactly why you're telling me this, buddy. And I know exactly, yeah, it sounds great, except I can't go. I got way too much stuff. If I didn't have if I didn't have anything, if I had no possessions, I don't think he'd be so motivated to try to get me to move in. So at the end of the day, I just, at this point, all I need is a place to sleep, and then I'm hell bent on my going to bed early and getting up early. And that's what I laugh at these bozo alpha male influencers who want to try to brag about how early they get up in the morning. Don't they realize it's a bunch of old men competing to see who can go to bed the earliest? Are y'all crazy? Which is just like, who can have such not a life that they in the wintertime there you go to sleep at 5 p.m. Because I'm up earlier than all of these bozos. They haven't even figured out they're just competing to see who can go to bed the earliest. I mean, what the fuck? Idiots. Idiots. Well, they got wives and girlfriends, and you know, they got a Netflix and chill at a certain point. I get to go to the fucking bed. Meanwhile, again, back to ex-wife number 2. We were camping in Eugene, Oregon. We were both going to bed at like 5:30. You think that broad wanted to go to bed at 5:30? She just, she was interested in whatever I was interested in. If I was interested in going to sleep at 5:30, she would just shrug her shoulders and go to sleep at 5:30. I mean, it's just what it was. Or find somebody else to sleep with. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, at a certain point towards the end of our relationship, I came to understand how ridiculous the concept of possessing another person is, and understanding that a lot of these male-female attraction dynamics is tied up in, women as objects and all of that, and possessing and being possessed. And it's like, this is fucking crazy. So, and not, and that's part of the thing with all the cuckold talk. It's like, if you think I'm sexually attracted to the idea of her with somebody else, I don't know what to tell you. It ain't that. It's, I understand the nature of a woman well enough that, I met her and already knew, well, clearly if she finds me attractive, I'm not the only guy in the world she's going to find attractive. Like, yeah, this is, obviously what's so special about me, right? If I never existed, she'd still be finding men attractive. So that's normal, which means that on some level, she's going to want to spend time with other men, and that's okay. But, it's sort of in exchange for me not spending time with women, she's not spending time with men. But, like, I don't know what to tell you, lady. I'm going to bed at 5:30. You do whatever you want. But don't come back. Don't come back. Don't come home to this tent, right? It's like, you can't be coming crawling in here at 2 a.m. Because you're not going to disturb my sleep. I'm going to sleep, and I don't know what I was going through back then, but I was asleep, man. I was going to bed. I was sleeping in, man. I was sleeping from probably like 5:36 to 5, probably 4. I don't know, man. That was some good ass sleep back in them days. I was sleeping some deep ass sleep. Of course, in the summer, I always would just make myself stay up later because with the longer days, the idea of going to sleep that early is just absurd. Then we had a mutual friend that we both were friends with, this guy, and he claimed not to be on meth, but we were like, yeah, we're pretty sure he's on meth. And then, because they all were. But then in the wintertime, he started complaining he said, well, he started complaining because everybody goes to bed so early, but I knew he meant us. And it's like, and I just thought to myself, okay, you're definitely on meth now, because he was as much of an old man as I was. Like, all right, buddy. I'm pretty sure that's the stimulants talking. Where's all this energy coming from anyway? So we're all homeless and depressed on some level, right? And it's the winter in Oregon, for fuck's sakes. Like, yeah, vitamin D. Supplementing vitamin D only goes so far, sir. I mean, come on. Ain't seen the sun in months. Fuck. This is about time to find a bathroom. 2 hours and 22 minutes of driving, and you don't say. 5:33 until break. 8:33 drop time. All right. 2 hours and 33 minutes to the delivery. 166 miles. Get there at 7 a.m. There's your waking dream, surrealistic, unreality, deja vu all over again reminder via numerology. Happens all the time. Oh man. Anyway, the battery's dying. Bye.